Akram Kilani from Kilani Jewellery. Remember the Face podcast coming at you with my boy Dan.
Remember the fucking face.
Never forget. No, I love it. Dan Tanenbaum.
Tanenbaum.
Tanenbaum. Dan Tanenbaum. So we're gonna put a bomb in here. And see, with your last name, I can see the artistic lifestyle that you've been born in. Yeah. And I appreciate you for coming into this podcast. Remember the fucking Face podcast is for the youth, for the people to know about your journey. How did you make it? And what can we do to change or make a difference in the young people's life and making them know how to be consistent, or how did we achieve the levels that we're in today? Mr. Dan, let us know, how did you come into this world? Who are you? What made you to become this man today? So let us know about your story, a little bit of history, and how did you come into this country?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you.
As you know, you moved into the neighborhood. I live around the corner here.
That's right.
And when you first started your store, I came in and we connected instantly.
Immediately.
Three brothers. I come from three brothers.
Wow.
I'm the middle of three boys. Are you the middle?
Correct.
Right. So, yeah. So I think we had that connection immediately as well.
100.
You know, the middle child is always the one who's a little
The
bit...
black sheep of the family.
I was going to say unhinged, but black sheep I'll take, right? So,
I love this.
So anyways, you threw a bunch of questions there. I'll start by saying I've been a collector of many things my entire life. You know, I used to collect old radios, I collect old microphones, but a lot of my collections live in like drawers, so I have to go like visit them, right?
Wow.
So when I found kind of the idea of collecting timepieces, the idea of a collection that you could wear and that you could, alternate, on your outfit or your mood or, whatever, I love that idea. Like I could change up my watch 4 times in a day, right?
Because you have that collection. And I've seen your watch collections.
It's because I have that collection, but also like, I love just looking down and seeing them, right? And there's a story behind each one of them. I mean, one of the great stories of the watch.
From the Australia water,
yeah.
the Rolex that you have.
So I love watches. Like, and so as a watch...
I actually seen, sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off.
go on.
I actually seen an article about the watch that you actually have, the Rolex Submarine.
Yeah.
The collector from a guy who was a fisher from Australia or something.
So that's probably one of the most famous Rolex vintage stories out there. Right?
Amazing, yes.
For me to go into it now would take another 2-hour podcast.
Correct. No, we want people to make research about you too.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is when my boys were born, I wanted to get them the most iconic watches of all time.
Okay, that's how it started.
In my personal view, and I was going to present it to them on their 21st birthday. So to me, the Rolex Submariner reference 6538. Sean Connery wore it in Dr. No as James Bond. And to me, that's what made Rolex Rolex. Like, I really think
Correct.
Rolex became Rolex because of the whole James Bond story.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I wanted that particular model. You can look up the story. It's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
So for me, watches live a life.
Yes.
Right? They go to weddings, they go to funerals, they go to bar mitzvahs, they go to podcasts. Well, they have their own stories and they live their own life. And I was at one of my watch dealers, and he had this bucket of watch parts. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it's my garbage. I'm like, what? I'm like, can I have it? He's like, yeah, dude, it's my garbage, right? So I'm like, okay. So to me, the idea of these watches that have lived all these lives that are going to go to like a garbage bin, I wanted to breathe new life into them, right? Albeit in a different form, but just so they don't end up in a garbage heap, right?
Wow.
So that's why that's how I started the artwork with them.
So when looking at the people now staring at us right through this camera,
Yeah.
Dan, his Instagram, watch part, motorcycle, when you go in there, you will find yourself
It's heavy, man.
in
I
a
don't know if it's a one-hander.
museum of artistic pieces that's built from watch parts. Comes into Star Wars, shoes, skeletons, belts. I've seen motorcycles. I've seen you've done some amazing pieces, and you basically put in the time because I would have never thought about this idea. And when I first opened up in here, sorry, I had to make sure they know who you are too, as Dan.
Well, the funny story is when you first opened up here, I had just done a bunch of pieces. I did some for Chief Keef, you know, the rapper, and I did some for another music video. I did a bunch of encrusted guns.
Wow.
So anyways, I had a gun that I encrusted that I wanted to bring to you.
And you did bring it to me when I first opened up. That's right.
And of course, you know, I had to alert your security guy that I was about to pull out an encrusted gun. I didn't want to be tackled, right?
I know, I remember that. You
but
brought it with a nice case.
Yeah.
With that, you actually had the, what you call it, the
grenade.
The grenades, yeah.
Yeah, those are
You actually brought me like 3-4 grenades, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And that's how it started. And then that's when I paid attention to your account. And when I followed you, I was like, this man is incredible. He's an artist. Now, I'm going to tell you something. In the art world, the way we form, we always admire other artists for what they do.
Right.
It could be something that has to do with my own field of artistic life or my own field of business, or it has to be with something else that I'm admiring, because being an artist, you admire every other artist. If you're a painter, sculptures, if you're an artist as a singer, whatever, actor, whatever you do in this world, every artist always admires others. And I am admired by you with the creations that you come out with.
Well, that's how we connected also, because I recognized you as an artist.
Yes.
And then we did that ring for my wife.
That was
right?
one of the most incredible rings.
It was unbelievable. So my wife is I mean, she's really a vampire, right? At the end of the day.
Yes, I love your story.
And I forget what it was for her 50th birthday.
Correct.
And I told Akram that I wanted a black diamond, but I want it cut in the shape of a coffin.
Yes.
And you immediately said, say no more, right? Leave it with me, right? Like
That's right.
You know. And as an artist, I actually didn't want to confine you with too much of kind of what my vision was. I wanted to see what your vision was.
Yes.
And that's why I like actually working with other artists. And you don't find that really in the jewelry world, you know,
Yes.
typically, right? It's, you know, I want, you know, from a menu, I want A and, you know, and B.
That's
right?
usually how it is. It's
Right.
classic usually.
It's yeah.
Yes. And you're
that-
not classic. I
Well, and
know
that's
that.
easy to buy, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, you know, when you get a gift that's like, you know, when you take it out of the drawer and the jeweler opens up another drawer just to replace it with the other 100 that they have.
Yes,
you
you're
know,
right.
that's too easy, right?
Correct.
Like when you see a piece and you know it's one of a kind.
You know that coughing, when you told me, all in my mind, so for the viewers to understand, he wanted a diamond,
Black diamond.
black diamond, to be cut into a coffin. Now, we're going to be able to bring in a little bit of the background videos that we have for that,
Yeah.
for the audience.
And I could bring it in later also if you want to show
For
it.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, what amused me in my way of thinking, when I seen how much of an artist you are, my type of personality, I immediately take this into seriousness and I want to actually bring it to life. And when I say I can do something or I'm going to do something, I always do it. We cut, was it a 70 carats? I can't remember, 60 carats.
It was 55 carats.
But it was based off a 70-something
Yeah,
carats
yeah.
rock. One rock a diamond, black diamond, and we cut it into the shape of a coffin. And that rock weighed about 50-plus carats. And we had to make sure the cut and the finish still give you that glare and shine to make you understand that this
And the best
stone
was
is real
you were
diamond.
like
How did you go when you seen that?
Well, first of all, what I liked also is you were there was no timeline, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing like giving an artist like I need this in a week,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Like I let you sit with it for as long as you needed.
Yeah, it took me like
But-
3-4 months.
Yeah, but not only was the actual diamond ridiculously amazing, but the setting was a raven's claw.
Yes, but
Hold-
you designed that.
Well,
I
no,
didn't
no.
want to get involved.
I had the
got
idea
involved
of
with the
it.
cutting the diamonds. Reality. What makes Kilani Jewellery is we involve every client into the process
collaboration.
of it.
Yeah.
So I never got involved. I only got involved in making sure the final testing is correct. But you and your wife actually built that, the Raven. Go ahead and tell people about the ring that you designed.
Well, so we had the idea of a raven's claw holding the that coffin diamond in place.
Yes.
And then your designers kind of whipped up a bunch of different options. Again, you know, that's so great, right? Because typically it's here's the setting, right?
Correct.
And so to kind of, merge a couple of different ideas, like, I liked the talons on one of them, but I liked how you did kind of, not the feathers, but like how the fingers looked on the other.
Yeah.
And we were able to kind of, really collaborate and get the, all of it together.
It actually, the final finish of that ring, with the coffin and the way it was set with the raven claws, and going around the whole shank,
Ridiculous.
you can feel the vibe.
Yeah, and also you put a finish on it, right?
Yeah.
So it was. I think it was.
We oxidized it.
You oxidized it,
Yes,
right?
we
Which
oxidized
really
the
took
piece.
it to the next level.
Do you know, I'm happy to be able to complete an image that you've had about me when you first met me. And I'm happy to be part of your life, honestly, because I have learned a lot from you, because of your consistent work and the inspiration that you put out there on your Instagram. It gave me the motivation to be moving much more higher in life, to create more pieces that can make people be in my life forever. Now, I want to tell you, how was you born in Canada? If you
Yeah,
don't mind me
Toronto,
asking?
born and raised. I was out of town around for 7 years. I went to Michigan State University. I lived in LA for a while, but my family's here. I come from a very large family, and
That's
like
amazing.
you, I'm
Yeah.
all about family.
Yes, I
So when you're young, and you don't have a house, and you're not married, and you're not no kids, you could do whatever, right? So I
Yeah.
did that in my youth. But I ended up back in Toronto, which I love. Toronto's almost one of those cities you have to leave for a little bit to appreciate.
That's
but
literally what I told everybody.
Yeah, I love Toronto.
Yeah, I love Toronto. After I went to Miami and I came back, I could swear that Toronto has topped all my expectations.
100%.
When it comes to
Yeah.
regular life,
Yeah.
culture, heritages. We have everybody from all around the world.
It's
in one place.
unbelievable.
And it's so peaceful. That's what I love.
It's peaceful. And Toronto, like opposed to like a New York where it's always happening everywhere.
Yes.
Toronto's always happening. You just have to know what pockets that weekend it's at. Is it the beaches? Is it Ossington? Is it you just
There's
have
so much happening in the city.
So
you know?
much is happening.
Now I want to ask you, when you started to build these parts and like the ideas that we have here, like looking at the whole piece all around. Now we're gonna do a close-up videos and we're gonna include it to everybody, having the watch strap, having all this. And how long does it take you to build like this?
So it really depends on how long my OCD
this is
attack
a real
lasts.
shoe.
But it's upwards around 50 hours, right?
50 hours for one side.
For the whole shoe. But for me, like you, I make it so I would have it in my own collection, right?
Yeah.
Like these aren't production pieces. Like
It's one of one.
I can't make 300 of these.
No,
right?
you just make one.
Yeah. So when I make it, it's and every time I make a piece, and I bet you feel this a lot when you make. Every time I'm like halfway through, I'm like, I can't sell this. Right?
Sometimes, yeah. You just wanna
This
keep
has
it.
to be for me. I can't let
Okay.
this go. But at the end of it, the fact that someone else is going to put it on their shelf or they're going to appreciate it, I always let it go.
With art pieces like this, you need to find people that appreciate it.
100%. Well,
Like-
they're all custom made to order, right?
Yes, yes.
And the truth is my artwork lends itself well if you know what the silhouette is, right? Like a fire extinguisher or a payphone, right?
Yes.
Like someone wanted me to do a basketball the other day. It would just look like a metal ball at the end of the day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there's some things I turn down, but I like to consult like you do. When someone says, "Oh, I saw that Jordan that you did. I'd like one." I'm like, "Are you a sneaker person?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, what else do you love?" Right? Like I've requested
Ah, you
Porsches,
see.
right? Like I wanted to,
You want to know what the person is all about to
make it relevant, right?
Yeah, make it represent it.
Yeah.
Now, have your kid? You have 2 kids, right?
I've got 3 kids.
3 kids.
Yeah.
Mashallah, good. Now you have 3 kids. How their inspiration about their dad's art? How do they talk? Because for sure, a lot of young people
Yeah.
admires you. How do you explain your kids admiring you on a daily basis, seeing you working?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the truth is I come from a long line of collectors, of art collectors, right?
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So I've been in and around art my whole life. right? My parents have an unbelievable art collection. My mom literally wrote the book on vintage costume jewelry. So I've always been in and around it, right?
Wow.
As have my children, right? So we have art around the house. We take them to museums. We take them to places like this to meet you. You took them downstairs to show. So they appreciate not only the piece, but what goes into the piece. And that's what I like, is when someone picks up my piece and doesn't do this and say, oh, it's cool. It's when they pick it up and they put it close to them and they
stare at it.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people say to me when they get a piece of mine, oh, I want to put it behind a glass case. And I say, don't do that, right? I want someone to pick this up.
Yeah.
I want them to feel the weight of it, right? I want someone to look at, you know, a certain piece and say, oh, I didn't realize that this was from a clock, or this was from a pocket watch, or oh, that's a Rolex piece, right? Like, I love when they kind of really get into the nuts of it. You know, like when you stare at a great painting, and the more you stare at it, the more you kind of see, you know, like that painting you did for your friend, right? Like the more you look at it,
the more
you're like, oh my God, that's the Western Wall, or that's the what, you know, like
that's the heart,
yeah,
that's the love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Do you know, when I think about anything, like you say, I usually talk to people about their life, try to get involved in their life to understand what I'm gonna plan to do. And the same thing when I did this painting. At that moment, I was just thinking about my friend mother. I wasn't thinking about him as much. I just thought about the moment of his mom. How was she thinking of a kid leaving home, having a good family, big business, have a successful life, and take himself to go to war and put himself out there in the jungle or in the fields, empty fields, no water, no food, eating tuna can food. Like, he tried to tell us he misses that part, but we know what he went through is big.
But that's what makes you a great artist also, is that you get in the head of your clients.
Yes.
Right? Like, it's not like, you know, like when someone wants a ring from you or a necklace from you, you're not like, okay, great, like how much are you wanting to spend?
Yeah, no, right? I want to get to know more.
The money's literally the last thing you ever discuss.
It's the last feed in your art's life, you know? It's, look, if life was all about art, we could exchange art for art.
100%.
And
I love doing that, by the way. I do use it sometimes as a barter, right?
I've done stuff like this.
Yeah.
Now, Dan, what makes you special?
Well, you know, that's a very difficult question.
But I don't want you to say it to me. I want you to say it to the audience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd rather not talk about what makes me special, because that's, you know.
Don't be shy, because I feel special. You know, look, being special doesn't make you look different or be different than everybody else. Once you feel special about yourself, life becomes beautiful.
Yeah, I'll tell you what makes me unique.
And that's why I asked you why you're special. You are special.
Well,
as
I
a
appreciate
person.
that. I'll tell you what makes me unique.
Yes, let's go.
Is a really, you know, and this comes with age also a little bit, is I've really stopped caring what other people think.
Wow.
Right. You know, I'm very focused on my family. You know, I'm very, you know, I don't care if people don't relate to my artwork. I don't care if people don't relate to my point of view. I'm just living my life, right? And whoever gravitates towards that, and whoever is part of that kind of thought process, is in my circle. Right?
100%.
And you know, I think nowadays you can smell bullshit a mile away, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I'm sure you see it in the store when someone comes in.
With experience.
All,
comes with experience.
Chest thumping. It comes with experience. It comes with age. And so I think, you know, as I get older, you know, I'm really starting to kind of whittle down who's kind of in my inner circle, right?
You know, I used to always. I'm gonna tell you an honest, true story. At the age of, excuse me, at the age of 16 or 15, 16, my dad took us, we used to live in Qatar, 1998. He took us to Europe on a big trip, 2 months trip, for us to go enjoy the summer and get to know how Europe is all about and decide if we want to live in Europe or maybe go to North America. Yet, we don't know nothing about North America. So he took us, we landed in Holland. We have an uncle there, that's his brother. We stood at his house, and from there we moved on. We went to Germany, we went to Brussels, Belgium. and we went to Paris, and then when we went back to Holland, he took my mom and went to England on that cruise thing, and then chilled in England for 3 days or 4 days and came back. So it was a big trip. They did 5 countries, we did 4 countries. When we were going back to Qatar, I left them at the airport because I wanted to live the Western life. I didn't want to go back to the Middle East.
Right.
It was very tough for me to be able to grow there. But the moral of the story, when I was young, I always thought that I can do it on my own. I can do it without my family.
Yeah.
And I did things without them. But the more I started to grow, well, I left them and I went down to Germany. I stood there in Germany for 8 months. I was living in Nuremberg, 1998. And after 8 months, I realized what it means to have family and parents. Now, knowing that I was living with my cousin,
Yeah.
my blood cousin, but your immediate first family made me feel different.
100%.
As I came into Canada, I always had that sense of problem that when I left the house, I was always trying to find friends
Right.
to turn them into family. But as I start to grow, right, I have all my friends that I turned into family when I was young.
Right.
But as I got older, I realized the reality of life. Family is where you are born, where you come from,
100%.
what your household is all about.
And you can see it when you come into the store, right? Like
Yeah.
your dad's there, your brothers are there. But that's those are life lessons that you can't be a 16-year-old and know that you have to go through.
A little bit of experience.
You
But
have
as I
to.
grew up, why I told you this story, I started to realize bullshit. Because in my life, I had probably thousands of friends through my life coming into my life in and out. But I never burned a bridge. But as I got older, I achieved from all my relationships that I built with the people that never had bullshit background.
Yeah.
Now when you look at people, like, I can catch a liar from the first word he starts.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the other day I had an artist, an R&B artist from New York. And you know me, everybody knows me, I don't care. Little TJ. And he came into my store and he was trying to say start a story with me at the beginning of the conversation. And he already lied.
Right.
And I looked at it and I was like, bro, that's a lie.
Yeah.
And then he had to explain himself, trying to prove, but because the way the conversation started, I couldn't take him in as a serious man anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
To the end, I end up asking my guy to take him home.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot, and that also, there's a lot of people.
I'm just being really, like, from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
I can't handle people with lies.
Well, there's a lot of people, really pretending to be someone else, right? And when you find your authentic self, that's when you could truly live kind of a
happy man.
A happy man, right?
Or a happy woman, too.
Or anyone, right? But when you talk about coming from Qatar and all that,
Yes.
I think it's really important to note, a
Yeah.
Jew,
Yeah, and an Arab, and an Arab woman, like
right,
me.
and an Arab, right? Like,
Yeah.
people only see the clashes out there. They only see, like,
They don't see reality.
well, and you and I never once, it only just really occurred to me right now.
Yeah.
But like, we don't look at that kind of thing, right? And it's just unfortunate.
Look, I will tell you. I come from the Middle East, and my sister is married to a Jew.
That's right. I forgot about that.
And to be part of a Jewish family, being an Arab, this was never the question. Because once upon a time, every one of our kinds were living together anyway.
Yeah.
And each person has, or each tribes were able to put security, safety to their own people, create laws, and everybody became a law-abiding citizen. And this is how life started. It's not
Well, and the
about-
thing is, you and I know, right? It's these other people who are outside of our circles.
They don't know.
They're telling their own stories,
No,
right?
look, when I tell people, you need to know that I lived there and I felt the difficulties
Yeah.
of my life being different than a lot of other people, or, right, I wasn't born Muslim, but I have a lot of Muslim families in my life. I have a lot of Christian families in my life. I have everything in my life. Now, what do I follow? I just follow the same things that my dad always taught me, because every time I talk to him about religion, he was not a religious man. He always answers me, don't steal, don't kill, don't rape, don't... The main codes of every religion, just don't do. Everything else in life, do.
Right. Just be a good person.
And just follow up. Now, the only thing about life, if you... Okay, my son the other day asked me, Dad, why am I white? Why you're brown? Why my goddaughter is black? Because my goddaughter is Jamaican.
Right.
What do I say to him? She's African. I am Arabic. You're mixed or something. I can't say that shit.
Right.
So when I looked at him, I answered him back. I said, Pops, when we're born, we have no color.
Right.
We open our eyes, we see a rainbow of colors.
That's right.
And each person decide on what color that he likes, and he dresses it up, and it becomes him.
Yes.
And it becomes the person that he likes to be. You like blue, I like red.
Right.
You like green, he likes white. It's the same thing with fruits. God, when served us in this earth, he gave us heaven with its true faces, its true ways of life.
Right.
Giving us fruits, giving us trees, giving us greens, giving us sweet, giving us sour, giving us bitter, hot, spicy. There's every choice that you can. You might like banana. I don't like banana. You might like orange. I don't like orange. Can you imagine the whole world has one choice of fruit?
Right.
And every way possible. One time, and I'm going to tell this story again, and it's always funny. When I was younger, people used to ask me, are you Indian? I used to say yes. Are you Pakistani? I say yes. Are you Afghan? I say yes. Are you Arabic? I say yes. Are you Spanish? It depends on how I look like, you know.
Right.
I used to have braid. They used to say to me, are you Coolie? I say yes. Then after 2-3 years, they realize where I'm from. And they're like, Kilani, why are you lying about where you're from? I was like, listen, guys. In the eye of a white man, every brown man is brown. In the eye of a brown man, every black man is black.
Right.
In the eye of a black man, all white people are white. In the eye of a white man, all Asians are Asians. So what makes the fucking difference?
Yeah, I agree.
You know, and when you start to live by these rules, you realize that there's so much goodness in this world.
So we got to cut through it, right? We got to get back to the goodness.
And I tell you something, there's so much goodness on your side and your family's side.
Thank you.
There's goodness on my guy right here, Big Shot. Goodness on this side, goodness on my side. But that's what makes us.
100%.
That's who we are, and that's what we have to do. Whatever.
Well, that's why, by the way, this podcast is so
is
great.
all about.
You know, it's spreading the love and
Yes.
and positive energy and that's what we need. That's what we really
you know-
desperately need.
The youth are desperately in need for people to give them the right advice.
Yeah.
I've seen people come online, try to advise people, oh, go follow me there. I will tell you how my life experience made and how I did it and how I made $1 million. But your life experience can never be matched by other people.
Yeah.
Not everybody can match my life. If I tell them the steps how I made my life and give them the blueprint, it's not going to be easy. You have to build your own experience.
Yeah, 100%.
But we can share with people how we think
Yeah.
and the goodness of giving people the feedback of how to think about life.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
how to think how we thought to make money.
Yeah.
Now, if you take life simply and make everybody, like I'm going to go back right now. You're talking about the youth. The youth are desperately in need for people like us because what's available on social media, it's basically all about trying to collect views or people following what's the biggest trend
Right.
of videos and try to copy the exact same trend and try to post it so they can get seen. But to be different is different.
Yeah, yeah.
And for you to be able to inspire others or be able to achieve, that's not an easy part, but you have to be genius, you have to be smart,
Yeah.
you have to think. Now, it's in our choice to make the young youth to believe in reality as bullshit or reality as how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You already said it, there's a lot of people trying to print a story or print an image against people from anywhere around the world. It doesn't matter what the name could be.
Yep.
We don't want to be biased. But these images are painted by people who are biased. They only think one way. They don't think
Right.
two ways.
And they're manipulating.
And manipulating
Yeah, yeah.
the young youth.
Yeah.
I tell everybody, you don't know what's going on. I come from the Middle East.
Right. Yeah.
I know what the Middle East is all about.
Yeah.
Whatever's happening there is happening because the hate is still there.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
You know, that's why I never went back. I went back 2006. I went back to Qatar. And I felt the racism there against
remember.
some cultures, you know.
I remember when you were talking about going back.
And I took off and I never went back
Yeah,
again
yeah.
because it doesn't matter if your culture seen as down or your culture seen as up. Just like how back in the day they had a different category for people. You know, a third world country, who's the top, who's the second level in the world, third level, and third world countries. You cannot even count Africa as a third world country no more because every human being has a device in their hand,
And you're connected.
and you're connected to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
world.
right.
I have seen, I'm not going to lie to you, I follow these young kids from Africa, you know, they don't have much, but they're dancing.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
And
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah, yeah. They're amazing.
It's so inspiring,
Yeah.
and these guys have collected platinum records, gold records,
Yeah.
and they have nothing to impress you with but their talent.
Right. The pure.
So now there's no more third world country.
Yeah, yeah.
You are a third world country person if you're a biased person.
Agreed.
You don't have an open mind.
Yeah.
You don't include everybody in one image, in one picture.
Yeah.
You understand my
100%.
concept?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what makes me so special. I am special.
You are special.
I love to say it. Do you know why? Because that's how I feel about myself. And that's how I want everybody to feel about themselves. And that's how I want you to feel about yourself. Because this podcast, remember the fucking face, it's all about motivation, positivity, and how to make you think that life is so good. We are in heaven. You're looking for heaven? Go reach a tree and find your fruits. If you can't find your fruits, plant a seed, keep watering the seed until this plant comes into something and it gives you fruit. Once you collect these fruits out of these trees or whatever you seeded in 5 or 10 years, you know you have achieved.
Agreed.
Now,
Now,
what do you have to say?
First of all, I mean, there's a lot to say, but you've been waving this watch in front of my face for too long for me not to put it on. I gotta.
Buzz down, baby, only. I can only wear buzz down. I can't do plain Jane. For those who try to talk about buzz down.
And this is plain Jane for me.
I know. But you know what? I love buzz down because it's just like anywhere I go, I feel everything around me works exactly the same way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
My clock ticks. If I take my buzz down off, I feel like the clock is ticking the wrong way.
Look at your little baby wrists.
Yeah, I have a baby. I actually lost a lot of weight now.
Did you? You look good,
since I
baby.
came back. Thank you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, I love buzz down because it attracts the eye to all the ladies, to all the young people.
Yeah.
And to have a buzz down is more about a status.
Now, will you travel with this watch?
Yes.
You will.
And I swim.
And you swim with it.
Yes.
Well, that's just nuts.
I tell everybody that has a watch from Kilani that's buzz down, please dive as deep as possible because all my watches are done correctly. So
Amazing.
that's why usually they say watch can lose value if it's not done right. But if the
So
diamonds are correct,
what does it mean when you say it's done right?
yeah,
Right.
the setting,
The
the
setting.
work, the selection of the diamonds, you know, usually, and making sure that you don't drill where the pins are, because when the pins that connect the links gets drilled, it weakens
I see.
the watch. And if it doesn't, while it's moving, the link was moving, it's pushing these diamonds out. That's why you see a lot of people with their diamond bust down watches, they have missing diamonds where the pins goes through because the job is not done right. And that's why they always tell you make sure to get it from the company manufacturer better than having anybody else because of the experience.
And is the
obviously.
consistency of the color of diamond, is that hard?
It's
to-
very important.
But is that hard to do? Like, can you, like...
DEF is because when we move to this side, we only sell VVS plus DEF color.
Oh, okay.
Now, out of the whole world mine diamond, you only get 2% out of the whole mined diamond.
Okay,
Mined,
right.
natural. You only get 2% of it that is actually VVS DEF.
Really, eh?
Yes. So that's why it's hard. That's why you have to be part of a site hold. And I know for sure you know what site holds are.
Yeah.
It's like the banks of diamonds
Yeah, yeah.
worldwide. There's only 5. When you become a member with the site hold, you know you're getting your diamond correctly, because
Right.
when they give you $100 bill, it's always going to be $100 bill.
Right.
Could never be less.
Yeah.
So,
So how long does this take to do?
about 3 months. And let's
3
say
months.
if the guy that works on AP or diamond setting on only AP, that means that person only can work on AP. If the person works on Rolex Jubilee Band, then that means that person can only work on Jubilee Band.
Right, because they
If
live
the-
and breathe it. Right, yeah.
It's part of the
Yeah,
experience.
Yeah, they
that
dream
you-
about it.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So like they can drill and do everything with eyes closed.
Yeah.
That's how it goes down. Now I want to talk to you about your ring, because you're such an artist. What is going on here?
So, I got panicky coming here because, I want to wear the right stuff, right? This is, your piece that you put on me.
It looks so good on you.
I love the concept of a necklace. I think I'm a Cuban link guy, but not long. Like, I think I need it like a 18, 20 inch.
I think we should do a Cuban with these roses and the skeletons in between the links.
Something. Or I saw you did a black diamond one, which I loved also.
Yes.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if we incorporate the idea of this ring?
Yeah. So this
Maybe the lock become the skull head.
I like the weight of this ring. Again, this ring's a little bit uncharacteristic for me. I love skulls, but I'm not necessarily showy when it I love that watch. I don't feel like I know I could get away with it. I think that's the biggest misconception. When someone says, "Oh, I love that," but I can't get away with it. Everyone can get away.
Okay, I'll tell you one thing. I used to never wear a lot of diamonds, and I was selling it to all my clients, and I remember my clients used to tell me, "Kilani, why don't you wear diamond pieces?" And I used to tell them, I don't want to outshine you. I want you to always outshine me. I'm the jeweler. And that was the biggest bullshit story I ever told. Because once I wore diamonds and I saw how I felt and I saw what happens in the environment around me, first made me uncomfortable because there's more attention and people asking very straight questions that makes you sometimes feel uncomfortable if you don't know how to answer. But once I started to wear it and it started to like attach to my body and it became a thing for me.
Yeah. So I'm working my way up to diamonds. I'm starting with gold, right? What I love about gold, what I love about this ring, I love the weight of it, right? It's the same with my artwork, right? Like people admire it. I could take pictures
I like
of it.
weight on everything, you know.
It's significant, right?
Of
Like
course.
you're wearing it.
Your wife loves you because you got a lot of weight. I love you, Don. Watch Part Motorcycle on Instagram, one of the most unique human being I've ever had in my life. He's
Thanks
been
for
in my
having me.
life for the past 5 years. I have appreciated every moment that I have seen you. You've always showed love. You've called me. You've came to check on me when I was sick, when I was away. I came back in. No matter what, I know you're not far away from my building, but you have showed love to this complex, and I appreciate you. I appreciate the neighborhood. They have showed me so much support and love. And to the young community out there, remember that Watch Part Motorcycle is one of the biggest Instagram pages to ever show you talent. Follow this talent, understand why he is who he is today. Make sure you search him, and I'm telling you guys, you'll find nothing but greatness. I appreciate you being
brother.
part of this conversation. I appreciate you bringing the pieces of art right here. We are going to display a lot more, and we can't wait to hold you down for the next one. What do you got to tell the audience before we say goodbye to them?
Well, first of all, once again, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I appreciate you spreading the love and being part of this neighborhood. And, I think everyone should just, love. Right? I think that's the bottom line.
Love is real. It doesn't cost much money. You can give it out to anybody you would love to, and you can get back as much as you want to get back. Don't forget, remember the fucking face podcast, or remember the fucking face podcast coming at you from Kilani Jewellery right in the patio. This week will be the last week for us recording one of the best episodes. Dan, my guy, Watch Part Motorcycle, Kilani Jewellery. Let's go.
Thanks, brother.
Love. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
You're the
I
best.
absolutely love it.